listening to the Insightful Nutrition Podcast, the podcast that highlights creators and innovators of algae-friendly and alternative products, businesses, and services, sharing their entrepreneurial journey. I am your host, Nicole Farquharson. Let's get the show rolling. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Insightful Nutrition Podcast. Now, if you're a new subscriber or if you're a new listener, welcome. So, today, I'm accompanied by our guest, Hayley Sohn, the owner of Basically Eat Meals and the founder of the No Diet Club. Now, I'm very inspired by how she made a decision to leave her corporate job to pursue her own career path that she's passionate about by plunging into her own entrepreneurship venture. After graduating with a degree in nutrition and exercise physiology from University of Missouri, Columbia, she began a career as a nutrition educator at Signature Medical Group. While teaching people to eat for health, she realized how difficult it was for the modern professional to get a healthy meal on the table. With a desire to help people live a healthier life, not at the expense of a busy schedule, she began cooking healthy meals for anyone who was interested. And that was when Basically Eat Meals was born. So, Basically Eat Meals serves busy people who desires a healthy home-cooked meal that doesn't mean slaving all day. Basically Eat Meals is a local delivery service company that provides gluten-free meals for customers in St. Louis. Today, they serve busy people who desire a healthy home-cooked meal that doesn't mean slaving all day. They are exclusively delivery to make it just a convenience, a choice as a drive-through. So, Haley is passionate about health and nutrition education, speaking, teaching cooking on both live television and for Derberg's Cooking School and offering a ton of content on social media. They are all a part of her goal to make your life healthier and happier. So before we get into the conversation, I'd just like to tell you that the Insightful Nutrition podcast is on social media, especially on LinkedIn, which is on my personal account, Nicole Farquharson, and it will be in the show notes. Now, you can also tag the Insightful Nutrition podcast if you're listening to an episode, and you can share what stood out for you. You can follow this podcast anytime, anywhere. If you're trying to share the podcast with your friend, neighbor, and family members, it is also found on any podcast player on Android and on your iPhones. So, without further ado, let's jump into the conversation with Hayley Sohn. Hi, Haley. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining me on the Insightful Nutrition podcast. I just wanted to talk about more about you and the product and any other ventures that you have going on right now. So we're going to talk about
Sure.
you first. Have you ever wanted to become a nutritionist?
Yeah. So when I got to college, I took some intro courses and nutrition was one of them. It was just kind of like very brief overview of being a nutritionist and how food affected the body. And I was just so fascinated with it. I knew right away that that's what the field that I wanted to go into.
What influenced your choices to become a nutritionist?
I think I was really interested in how the fact that food had such an effect on our physiology. I was always like really interested in science and the body, but I never knew as a child, no one ever taught me that food affected your body so much. So kind of learning that, I was just so interested. I love to eat, I love to cook, and then kind of like really having this interest in science and the human body. So it all came together in a very fascinating way for me.
Now, you mentioned in your biography that you worked as a nutrition educator.
Mhm.
Can you tell me what companies have you worked with?
Yeah, the first job I had out of college was with Signature Medical Group, which is a private practice group of physicians in St. Louis, Missouri. So I ran a community outreach program for them, which focused on nutrition education. So it's basically a free service that we offered to schools, community centers, libraries, senior centers, anyone who's in need of nutrition education. So I would go out and talk about how to prevent disease, how to cook at home, and how to just eat healthier.
Was it the one company that you were working with?
Yeah, so that was my first kind of and only corporate job. I got that out of college. I was there for a little over 5 years, I think, and then I quit to start my own company.
Did you enjoy doing it?
I did enjoy it. I really kind of found my passion, which is education and helping people understand how food affects their bodies and how to make it really simple. I kind of got down to the basics there. And instead of being this nutritionist who was spitting scientific facts at people, it was like, okay, if this is what your day looks like, it's stressful, it's hectic, you're running around, with kids and a job and social life. Here's how you can actually get a healthy meal on the table that's really simple and going to fit into your life.
What transpired when you decided to create Basically Eat Meals?
So I was doing the education. I was going out and talking to people about how to eat for health. And I was teaching them, as simply as I knew how to get a healthy meal on the table. But mostly what people said back to me was they didn't know how to cook or they didn't have time to cook. And so it was very frustrating. I was only doing education, so all I could do was talk to people, and they didn't really I didn't couldn't take it that next step. So I could tell them to eat healthy, but if they couldn't do it for themselves, like, I wasn't really helping. So at the same time, I was cooking for myself at home, doing my own meal prep and bringing my healthy meals into the office. And my coworkers asked if I would just make a little extra food and sell it to them because it was healthy, it was convenient, and they were sick of resorting to fast food every lunchtime because they weren't cooking for themselves at home. So I actually started making extra of the food I was already making and selling it to my coworkers. And I did that for a little while before I realized that that was actually the solution for all the people that I was talking to every day about eating better, was me just cooking for them.
When did you start Basically Eat Meals? Was it when you were working as a nutrition educator or is it when you resigned?
No, so yeah, I started it while I was working my corporate job full time. It
Mhm.
was just a side business I had, and when I really realized that it was something that people really needed, because I was out there talking to people every day and they were all saying, "Yeah, I would love to eat healthy, but I don't have time to cook." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I could just cook for you. I know how to make it really healthy. I could deliver it to your house and make it really convenient." That's when I realized that that was the business that I wanted to go into. So I ran that on the side for about a year before I actually quit my corporate job to take it full time.
What was your inspiration for creating Basically Eat Meals?
So it really was just the fact that I was out there talking to people, trying to help with my education, and I wasn't really helping anyone because I could tell them to eat healthy and tell them how to cook, but if they weren't going to be able to do it for themselves, they weren't going to have any change. So my inspiration was really just helping people with the need that I saw that they had.
What type of customer has been receptive to Basically Eat Meals?
So a lot of people can benefit from having like a healthy meal delivered to their house. We have a lot of busy professionals that have a family and a social life and a, really intense work life that just love will deliver their lunches for the week to the office. And then we also have a big base of kind of the empty nesters. So kids are grown out of the house, and this married couple finally has some free time for themselves, and they've been cooking for the last 20 years for all of their kids. And they are like, oh my gosh, my kids are gone. I don't have to cook for them anymore. And I want to enjoy my free time with my spouse. So let's go to a movie or something instead of cooking. So they've also really loved the service.
So it's basically a local service.
Yes, it's only in St. Louis, Missouri.
Could you tell me about the promotional or marketing aspect of Basically Eat Meals?
So we've mostly done social media, only free stuff.
Okay.
Really is where we started. When I started it, it was like I got all my coworkers, all of their friends, all of my family, and all of my friends on it. And once you kind of go through those people that it's like, what's the next step to get more clients and to help more people? And the only thing I really was comfortable with and familiar with was Facebook. So the next thing I did was I created a Facebook page for the business, and I started doing live videos every week. And I still do that to this day. It's been, I think, like almost 2 years since I started doing that. And that has been so huge for us. We still get probably 50% of our business from Facebook. And it's no paid ads or anything. It's just free content. I write daily posts and I do weekly videos covering a nutrition topic and just try to offer a lot of value there. And that's been huge for us.
What about Instagram? Because I saw you doing live feeds sometimes on Instagram.
Yeah, so that's been more recent. In the last maybe 6 months, we started like really doing Instagram. I had never had an account before I had my business, so it was really new for me, and I had no clue what I was doing. So in the last 6 months or so, I've been really working on it and trying to grow it and help more people there. Instagram's great. I feel like Facebook can be really local because with your friends there, and for some reason Instagram seems to be more national. So it's just been a good vehicle for offering more value to people and helping more people.
Now, I'm a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm ordering something from you. How are the operation? What's the operation like?
On the back end?
Yeah.
Okay, so we get your order, we do a weekly menu, a weekly seasonal menu, and we'll get your order. You'll tell us what meals you would like. We do a big prep day, cook day, and then delivery day. So everything gets made for you, and then our drivers take it right to your house once a week.
All right. Did you experience any health problems before creating Basically Eat Meals?
You know what? I've been really fortunate. I have not had any major health issues ever. So other than this cold that I have right now and have not been able to get rid of, but no, I've largely been really healthy. So
Now, your product is basically, well, it's gluten-free, right?
yes, it is.
Why did you choose to create a gluten-free product?
Well, it was the one thing that people kept asking about. Like everyone wanted to know if it was gluten-free. And I actually, around the time I was starting it, I decided to go gluten-free myself. So it kind of fit. I was like, everybody wants it. I'm going gluten-free anyways. And honestly, gluten-free, it sounds really fancy. It's actually so simple to make your food gluten-free. If you're not eating bread or pasta, which we don't include any of that kind of food in our meal service, you really don't encounter much gluten. You might in like a soy sauce, or if you're going to use flour to thicken something, but we just use, gluten-free, any like sauces that we use, which we make most of them in-house. We don't make a soy sauce, but every other sauce we make ourselves. So it's actually pretty simple for us to keep everything gluten-free.
All right. So I want to talk about the No Diet Club. Now
Sure.
tell me, what is that?
So this was kind of, I've got the meals, I can do the cooking for you, but I still am really passionate about the educational side of things, and helping people that aren't in St. Louis live a healthier life as well. So this is an online, basically kind of like a course you can take, to understand how to live a healthier life, like on your own. So we teach you how to meal prep at home, how to get it done really quickly, how to not have any food waste, how to save money at the grocery store, save time at the grocery store, like how to cook really simple meals that are healthy and delicious. We teach you how to boost your energy without having, another cup of coffee or sleeping the entire weekend. We teach you how to build a supplement routine so that you're not just going to the drugstore and, buying another bottle of vitamin C and hoping that it's going to help you feel better. So all kinds of like really basic health tips that you can implement yourself at home.
So basically, you're saying that basically Eat Meals is basically the cooking side, and
Yes,
then the No Diet Club is like the counseling or the education side.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Now, why did you name it the No Diet Club?
I like that phrase, no diet. Diet, like you don't have to be on a diet. And a lot of what I hear from a lot of the feedback that we get about the meals is people want to be on the trendiest diet. So everyone's like, do you have keto? Do you have paleo? Do you do vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, dairy-free? And what I really want people to know and understand is you don't have to be on a diet to be healthy. If you can build a lifestyle that works for you, that includes healthy foods and also some splurges here and there, that's what's really important. And the best diet for you is the one that you're going to live and that you're going to love. And that's the no diet. There is no, every diet was written by somebody else, and you trying to conform to that isn't always necessarily going to work. So the diet that's best for you is the no diet. That's where that comes from.
Was the motive behind the No Diet Club was to continue the education side of nutrition?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. What's the environment like on the No Diet Club?
Really light and fun. I I feel like a lot of times nutrition is this really like heavy topic, and people always feel like I'm going to tell them what they can eat and what they can't eat and be really like mean or something. So I just want it to be fun and easy and light, and help people understand that like their health doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be restrictive, it doesn't have to be like they never get to eat the food that they love anymore.
Now, I'm going to spend time on the outside of the No Diet Club and the basically eat meals.
Sure.
Now, you were featured on Show Me St. Louis, Ladue News, and Town and Style. What was the experience like?
It's been really great. I love doing local media here. I've done quite a bit of it. It's just another way to educate more people. So Show Me St. Louis is a live television segment that airs every day here in St. Louis. And I go on there regularly and do like cooking segments. So I'll teach like a really simple healthy recipe. And that's been so much fun and just a really great way to kind of spread the message that, healthy food can be easy, it can be fun, it can be delicious. It doesn't have to be like scary or time consuming or difficult. And then Ladue News and Town and Style, I've done some like guest interviews, like if they're writing a nutrition article, I'll be kind of like the expert voice. And that's been really fun too. Just again, spreading the message and helping people understand that healthy can be fun and easy and not scary.
How did those people contacted you to be interviewed?
That's a good question. They were all different. I think we reached out to some of them and some of them reached out to us. So it just depends.
Any advice as to how to conduct yourself as a professional when you're in front of the camera?
Oh my gosh. Rehearse a lot. It's like any presentation that you give, you want to kind of, even though it's live and you're with someone else who is going to be just kind of speaking off the cuff, you want to have an idea of what you're going to say ahead of time, because otherwise you're going to get there and totally freeze. And you also just have to be in the moment, like let go of the fact that you're on live television and there's 85 cameras staring at you and probably hundreds of thousands of people on the other end of the TV watching. You really have to like forget about that and just be with the person, the host that you're with, and enjoy the moment and have like a nice fun conversation with them.
What did you actually had to gather before you head to the live interview? Recapture any knowledge about your company, if you're doing a cooking demonstration, did you have to carry tools to cook? Did you have to do any of that preparation before the interview?
Yeah, the live cooking segments, I always am bringing like half of my kitchen with me. I'll bring like all my utensils and whatever decorations I want and serving trays, and as well as the food, all the raw ingredients to show them how to put it together, and then the finished product. So you really bring like a ton of stuff. And that would be the other piece of like doing well on live television is just being really prepared. I make a ton of lists and I just go through them and check everything off, make sure I've got everything I need. And I'm going to get there plenty early so that I don't feel rushed. I want to be like relaxed and feel really prepared.
So after the interview, how has basically Eat Meals and the No Diet Club changed people's lives?
Well, the meals is, that's a really easy thing to see how it changes people's lives, because they go from either, spending their lunch break running around trying to find something healthy. So they might go to like the local salad bar and get something that they don't really enjoy, or they'll go to the drive-thru and get something that makes them feel terrible. And so that's how their day is spent. It's hectic, it's stressful. They eat something that they're not happy with and they don't feel very good from. And so they've got, their energy is depleted for the rest of the day. And with the meals, they get something that's healthy. It's ready to go, ready to eat. They don't have to run around. So it's just brings them like this nourishing food that helps them feel good for the rest of the day and has like no stress involved at all. So that's really easy to see. And then with the No Diet Club, that's kind of like that you're always working on your own health, so that's a slow progression of people just seeing small changes here and there, having a little bit more time because they figured out how to meal prep really quickly at home, having, maybe 20 or 50 extra dollars a week because they figured out how to save money at the grocery store. So maybe they're going to, go on date night with their husband, having a little bit extra energy so they can maybe get up a little bit earlier and get in a workout or read that book that they've never been able to finish because they're too tired. So those are like the small changes that you just see over time.
Now, what advice can you give to someone who wants to pursue a career in helping people with their diet?
I think understand the problems that your client is facing. So I think when we go through nutrition school, especially here in the States, it's like, there's this obesity epidemic and people aren't going to the gym. They aren't eating what they should be eating. And all of us students really understood that really well. But when I got out into the real world, it just seemed like, well, duh, all I have to do to help with this obesity epidemic is tell people to eat better. They just don't know. Well, everybody knows. And so when I got into the real world, it was really about like tapping into the actual daily struggles that people are facing and the real reasons why they're not eating what they're supposed to be eating or why they're not making it to the gym when they know that they should be. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go tell these people to eat good. They just didn't know before. They all knew, but they couldn't find the time or they lacked the skills to actually get a healthy meal on the table. And most of them thought that, their only option really was to go to the drive-thru or order a delivery pizza or get a frozen meal from the frozen food section. So it was really about, for anyone going into this field, it's really about tapping into what your client is really struggling with, where they're actually struggling, and like, how can you help them with that specific pain point, as opposed to just generally throwing some scientific nutrition knowledge at them or telling, people to have another salad or whatever.
Now, have you dealt with someone who doesn't eat certain things, like they're in this strict religious practice, and if you had some difficulty, you had to give advice to them?
Yeah, so I've seen, especially with the rise of autoimmune disorders, people going on kind of restrictive diets. I think that, that can be really helpful for people who are having like severe flare-ups with their immune system. But if people are, like I was saying earlier, like just wanting to go on a diet to lose weight or restrict here and there, I think that's all about finding what's going to work for you. Because anyone can white knuckle their way through a diet for 30 days, but when that's over, we tend to just kind of like let loose and we don't really know what to do with ourselves. So dieting is all about finding what's going to work for you in your life and what you're going to be able to live and enjoy.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to me and to volunteer your time and energy today for coming on the Insightful Nutrition podcast.
Of course. Thank you, Nicole, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And I would just love to acknowledge Bonnie Frank today, because she's the reason why this interview could not have happened possibly.
Yeah.
The host of Business Fabulous podcast and the CEO of Bonnie's L. Frank Coaching and Consulting. And I really like to thank her, because this interview could not have happened at any time, anywhere. So I just love to acknowledge her right now. I say thank you, Bonnie Frank, for introducing me and Haley today. And also thank you, Haley, for coming on, volunteering your time today to, really share your story and share your perspective on, what you're doing and your passion and how is it that you're inspiring others.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Take care of yourself now. Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
So before we end today's episode, you can find Haley Sohn and her company Basically It Meals on Instagram at basically_it_ and on Facebook as well. You can also check out the No Diet Club at basicallyitmeals.com/no diet club. And also I will place all of the links, social media, and the website in the show notes as well. So that's the end of today's episode. But wait! I just want to say thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Insightful Nutrition Podcast. If you like the show, Be sure to not forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcast. This will help listeners like you to find and share the show with your friends and family. Allow the show to become more searchable and help with Apple Podcast rankings. I appreciate you so much for tuning in to today's episode, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.